And now, the More Beer Fantasy Football League proudly presents the State of the League.
Son of a bitch! Give me a drink! One of the night! But it's camping me! Son of a bitch! If I can't get clean, I'm gonna drink my life.
It's been another great year in More Beer Fantasy Football League. My approval rating is through the roof. Everybody loves me. They really do. But we're going to make this year the best year we've ever had. We are going to have an incredible year. But we have areas that we can improve. And we will improve those areas to make our league great again. And how are we going to accomplish this? Let me briefly outline the steps that we will be taking. We need to have safe borders in our league. We are going to build a wall around the Fighting Squirrel Monkeys or the Nut Bar Pirates or whatever they're calling themselves these days. And we're going to make them pay for it. Gary Porter, what can I say? I love the guy, but he's out as transportation director of the league. Gary, you're fired. I've seen the footage from the predicament on the pontoon last year, and it's not pretty, folks. Not pretty at all. Gary needs to stay home and pet the kitty or whatever. Bob's matches. Bob, this year we're going to incorporate banning of all screen doors at any of the draft headquarter locations. And you're going to need to check your inhaler at the door. In addition to that, Bob, we are building a huge neon sign that will show the draft order. It'll show the person picked. It'll show the position, so you never have to guess what the position is anymore. Donnie's back. We thought he was out, but now he's in. And so we love Donnie. An unbelievable sense of humor. But you have to have a sense of humor to be able to put up with these guys in this league. Donnie's a funny guy, though. Donnie has more one-liners than Bob has solar lights in his yard. Brian Cush. Brian, I just have one thing to say to you. Keep your shirt on this year. Who do you think you are, Putin? I know Putin, and you're no Putin. I think Brian Cush just makes the wrong picks just so that he could take a drink of the moonshine turpentine that Bob keeps behind the counter. And then there's the big hooters, Jody Mila. He's the quiet one of the league, and you always have to watch out for the quiet ones. Jody's been in our league for 5 years, and he's been in the More Beer Fantasy Football playoffs 3 of the 5 years. That's pretty good. Of course, he should be. He sleeps with a fantasy football magazine under his pillow every night. Not to mention that he's in about 12 leagues right now. This guy eats, sleeps, and dreams about fantasy football. You know why he doesn't drink? Because he doesn't have time to. And then there's Dan Beck. I think we need to check on Dan's immigration status. I'm not even sure he's in this country legally. As a matter of fact, he's so far out in the boonies, I'm not even sure that he's a part of this country. We can't trust Dan. He's notorious. Never trust a guy whose first and last name only contain one syllable. Dan Beck, Jim Jones, Ed Gein, Dick Speck, Tom Horn. All of them only have one name in their syllable, one syllable names in their first and last names, and all notorious. Everybody's changing their name this year. It all started with Rick way back when we incorporated the Rick rule to find a team when they changed their name after the draft. Well, I see he's changed his name again this year. This guy's changed his team name more times than I fired national security advisors. We are going to implement a franchise fee every time a team changes their name. That will be payable to the league and to me to promote tradition and stability to the league and my checkbook. And now for the real travesty in our league this year was the crusty crustaceans in the toilet bowl. It's fake news. Fake news, people. We went through the numbers this last year, and the crusty crustaceans would have won 95% of the games they had played had they not been playing the 6 highest point teams for the week. 95%. And Brian Cush had not scored 90 points in a single week all year until he played the crustaceans in the toilet bowl. My name should be on that trophy. I know it. He knows it. Everyone knows it. And lastly, the Plaid Peckers. Chad Becker. Chad is the luckiest guy in the league. He really is. While most of us spend hours analyzing and dissecting and slicing and dicing stats and figures months before the draft, and we actually enjoy it, by the way, Chad stops at Steve's Country Foods in Briarville on the way up to the draft right after Mass and picks up one fantasy football magazine and makes his picks. And he won. So, congratulations to the Plaid Peckers. It'll be short-lived. So, you're all invited to Chad's place this year for the draft. Details and directions are in your press packets. His place is almost as big as my Trump Towers, but not quite. So, good night, everyone. God bless USA, and God bless the More Beer Fantasy Football League. And let's make the More Beer Fantasy Football League great again.
Tonight's presentation of the State of the League was brought to you by the Honorable Commish.
So how about this? The Honorable Commish is going to a fantasy football draft party being held in a high-rise building in Barville when a group of terrorists attack the building and take control of the building and are trying to steal the More Beer Fantasy Football Trophy. And it's up to the Commish to come in and save the rest of the fantasy football owners and save the fantasy football trophy.
Dad, no. That's the plot to Die Hard.
Oh, come on.
How about this? A young and crazy Honorable Commish teams up with a wise and senior member of the league.
Yeah.
Bob's Matches.
Yeah.
They end up uncovering an evil plot to bring in illegal cigars by the evil kingpin, the Fighting Squirrel Monkeys. In retaliation, the Fighting Squirrel Monkeys kidnap the league's trophy and hold it hostage, and creating a showdown between the Fighting Squirrel Monkeys and the lethal pair, as we'll call them.
Blair, that's the plot to Lethal Weapon. You can't always take a movie plot and apply it to the Fantasy Football Invitation.
Why not?
It just doesn't happen.
As long as there are fantasy football
Alright, come on,
invitations
alright.
to create,
How about this?
you can count on the Honorable Commish to create the mother of all invitations.
Twins and new.
Come to the 2018 More Beer Fantasy Football Draft Party.
Oh, I like it.
And in
Could
the
earn your
showdown
name on the More Beer
between
Trophy.
the Dark Lord,
Play
the
it.
Fighting Squirrel Monkeys.
That's the plot for Star Wars.
Son of a bitch, give me a drink.